for stopping by. So, obviously, we just got back from our trip out west. I feel like we actually did some real wheeling, which was nice. We don't get too much of that here in Florida. Took a bunch of hits on the truck. I got a lot of questions on, how to get the 37s in there and wheel them correctly. Which, let me first start off by saying, like, I don't think that I wheel hard at all. I don't think that, like, Florida wheeling can compare to what a lot of the guys do out west. I'm just going to kind of give my take on what I do to run 37s. Right now, when you look, so this is a brand new 37, brand new 35. And what I mean by new is neither one of these has seen any pavement. So these are my spares. I know someone out there's going to talk shit, but I hate running the fifth one. I like keeping the spare nice and new. That's just me. Whatever. Looking at them right now, there isn't like a huge difference between them that you can tell. The way that they function and operate on the truck inside of the wheel well is an enormous difference. I barely hit anything on the 35s. I hit freaking everything on the 37, so just something to consider. I'm going to get you in the wheel well so I can show you where everything is that I'm hitting. Just to kind of give you an idea to what you're going to get prepared for. I'll also go over everything that I've done so that I feel like I can run these decently. So, in all fairness, the right way to run a 37 so you get full droop and full bump is going to be to tub the front. I'm doing everything that I can to not tub the front. I don't want to. I don't have like an amazing reason why. I just don't feel like going through all the work to get that done. So I'm doing everything I can to run a 37 with a decent amount of bump and good droop and not tub. I'll show you all the hammering that I've done. I'll show you my firewall. I'll get into all that when we get there. But just know, if you want to run a 37 and up and you want to wheel it correctly the right way, it is going to be a full tub. If anybody says anything different, they're wrong. So I'll be the first one to say how I have it set up is not ideal. Ideal is a full tub if you want to run one of these and get, full flex and full bump. So just know that. Looking at them right here, not a huge difference, but they function so much differently in the wheel well. This one hits so much more than this one did. Something to consider also, my rear, I have extended travel in the rear from Archive Garage, which I love it. But I had to run a spacer in the rear because my tire was hitting the shock, because it would just flex so much that it would hit the shock body. So because of that, I don't like the way that they look different, from the front to the rear. So I'm also running a spacer in the front. So obviously the spacer creates its own set of problems on a big wheel, your scrub radius, your steering. It gives it the ability to hit the firewall more. But it's kind of like a give and take here, because since I have the spacer, when I'm going straight up and down, I'm hitting further out of the wheel well than inside of the wheel well. So the further out of the wheel well you go, the easier it is to kind of pound up. The more inside you go, the harder it is, which I'll show you what I mean when we get over there. But just know, these are the differences. And for sure, if you want to run a 37 and up correctly, in my opinion, it's a full tub. There's no other way around it. All right. Let me get you inside the wheel well, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. All right, dudes. So let's start back here with the firewall. What I try to do is set you up right kind of in the middle of the screen where the CMR is, so you guys have an idea of where my body mount is. This is a DRT kit. So you can see, basically, if you were to look at a stock Tacoma right now, this is what's left of my firewall. It would kind of come out to about right here. So that lets you know like how far back my firewall is. Like I'm to the point where if you notch this right here, I am almost lined up with my slider. So just know that's how far my firewall is pushed back. So this entire section was cut off. I would say it's about a 7 or 8 inch up and about 7 or 8 inches in that was cut and pushed back. This is a new plate that was welded in. And so from right there, that gives you just trying to get you an idea of how far it is here. And I'm still going to have to cut back more of this fender, because if you look here, right here, my fender took a hit. Here, the whole fender is pretty much, I'm not going to be able to get you, it's pretty much just mangled. So essentially what we're going to do here soon is cut this whole thing off. And then kind of coming in at this angle here, you can see where I'm rubbing here and I'm rubbing right here. So both of these pretty much could be due to the spacer, but like I said, I want to have it there because I don't like the way they look different. So I'm going to come back and hammer here and hammer here. I'm going to pull you back real quick because if you, let me see if I can get you here so we can work with this light a little. So if you follow this line here, right? This right now is pushed up about 2 inches. So imagine this kind of comes straight up like this. And this is where the seams of the liner come into play here, right? So all of this is pushed back about 2 inches. And if you look, I'm pretty good here. I'm not rubbing anything really high. But here in the front, you can see where it's all shiny. So that's where I'm rubbing, and I'm rubbing here. So I'm going to hit this back, and I'm going to hit this back to see if I can get a little bit more play in here. I don't want to bump anymore. I like this. And then because of all this in here going on, right, this is completely mangled and kind of pushed back out of the way. This could pretty just cut. It's all cracked and broken anyways. But you see here, this is what came, like I didn't have any of these issues with the 35s. That's only from 37s. And if you look at the tire, let me see if I can find it. On the driver's side, it wasn't as bad, but I got lines here on the passenger. It looks like the passenger is rubbing up the fender a little bit more. So for whatever reason, the driver wasn't too bad. So let's talk components real quick. Because I always get asked, like, hey, what did you do to be able to run this stuff? So in terms of like actual what we did, hammering in the firewall here pushed about 4 inches back, hammering the inner fender, which needs more hammering, you can see. CMR is done. Working on components, these are just Dirt King, and I have stock length. A lot of people ask me, like, do I have long arms? Not long arms. I didn't want to do long arms on the Tacoma. I'm probably going to do long arms on the GX for fun, but not on the Tacoma. So stock length, upper and lower from Dirt King. These are spindle gussets from AP that were welded on by, I want to say this was RC Fabrication. Did this for me. I'm running Sumo bumps with a spacer. Just to kind of lower a little bit. There's a spacer that comes from Dirt King already. I put another little spacer in there just to kind of lower, because if not, the tire would just come up way too high. So obviously, this is what I'm talking about with having a full tub. No one should ever be like, the tire's coming up way too high. You should be able to work around so that the tire can move as much as you want, but I am stopping it because I don't want to go anymore. Let's see. So Tundra rack, which you guys got that video. I can link it up so you guys can watch that if you want. And then I'm running War Fab tie rod sleeves. So these are Moog tie rods, Moog inners, right? And then I have factory outers with a tie rod sleeve from War Fab. And then I'm running RCVs, the Ultimate RCVs. So in terms of what I have done here, I think that's it. Recently did the 333 Fabrication cam Eliminator kits. Man, I love them. I recommend it. After all that wheeling that we did, my steering wheel was still straight. So perfect. Still track straight. Everything good. No real hits. What else can I think of in here? I mean, extended brake lines, but that's pretty simple. But this is the crumpleness that you're going to get into once you get to like the 37. So let me go, let's go take you over to the passenger side, because the passenger side is worse. So here on the passenger side, you can see where I'm hitting right here. So I'm going to hammer here a little bit, and then just sliding up, you can see where my tire is rubbing right here. The one place that concerns me here the most is occasionally it would hit this, which this is for my snorkel. So I might actually kind of create like a piece of metal here so that it only stops at the metal and rubs through. The best thing, this moves, it's not solid. Let me do this. So it moves, it's not solid, but it was hitting where my snorkel is for the intake. So I didn't like that. But again, this all crumbled and gone, hitting here. You can see where I've already hammered. Same thing. I'm about 2 inches hammered up here, and you can still see where I'm rubbing here. So imagine if I didn't have the spacer, it would be kind of hitting even higher in. I'm still gonna come and hammer all of this back and all of this back. I didn't want to clean because I wanted you guys to see what it was actually like, because when it's dirty, the shine kind of comes through really nice. So, and I'm kind of separating here, but all of this needs a little bit more hammering. And then if you look, you can see where this got pushed back here. And then the whole thing is just pretty mangled up in here. It's mangled up. And then if you look, you can see where here you can really see where it was digging into the tire. I mean, this is a good one here. You can see where it normally sits. Look, I got digs all the way up on this lug. So that lets you know I must have been turned out and coming straight up hard. That's where it cut into this one. So that is, the type of stuff that you will be dealing with when you go to 37. So just prepare yourself. Even after all of this work, like, I'm still hitting. Essentially, you'd be cutting this whole thing off and creating a brand new one, lifting this up, or just buying a kit from JD Fab. Also with JD Fab, they have lower pivots to like move yourself up. But understand, you want to run a 37, if you move yourself up, this entire area needs to go. On this side, there's not that many important things. I think it's just a washer bottle is here. So they have different washer bottles you could use. On the other side, you're going to kind of figuring out where to move your battery, where to move your intake. You obviously might not be running a snorkel, be tucking it in here, something different. So that's all the stuff that I pretty much have gone into, and then what it looks like here. So, I mean, that should pretty much, I know this video is kind of be real quick and boring because I just wanted to let you guys know this is what it looks like. This is what I'm going through. And even if you pay attention here, it's kind of funny. Like, I'm not sure I could get this. Let's see if I can get this good on. I am even hitting the CMR right here. You can see where it's kind of rubbing the CMR a little bit. So this is what you will be dealing with going to 37. In terms of weight, the beadlocks are heavier. Let me get you back. Let's go back in the garage. So now you know what I kind of went through and what it looks like in my wheel wells. I'm going to do some hammering. I might cut the fenders off today. We'll see. I don't know. I'm kind of feeling a little lazy, so we'll see. I like the fender look. I'm not sure how much I like it without the fender, so I might actually bend everything out, but man, I don't know. We'll see. We'll get into that. I wanted to go over kind of drivability between the 37 and the 35. So right off the bat, I'm on 529 gears. I have the OTT tune. There is not a huge difference from driving around on 35 and then making the jump to 37s. Street driving, it feels about the same to me. Maybe just a tiny little bit more sluggish, but like I'm just kind of used to it. I have several vehicles, so once you get into having several of them, you have an idea. Each one drives differently. They all work differently, so it's not a huge difference for me. I will say with the 37s, it feels a little bit more floaty on the road, and I don't know if that's because of how much sidewall you have. It's a little bit more floatier, but nothing terrible with my tune and how I drive. I keep up with traffic off red lights, and I never pretty much go over like 3,000 RPMs. If I want to get on it and I hit it pretty hard, it will. On this trip, there were times in the mountains, man, that we were like, I'm pushing 5, 6, almost into the 6,000 RPMs going downhill and uphill. So I really enjoyed sport mode while we were on the mountain passes because it kind of give you the ability to make the transmission downshift, which was really nice. And something I found interesting, so let me back up. So I changed the direction of sport mode, how it shifts. I'll put a link to that video here if you guys want to get into that. I like shifting more with momentum. So when I'm driving fast, I want to shift up this way and down this way, almost like, let's say, a helicopter or a jet plane. You're going up, you're going down. Toyota, the way they set it up was backwards to me. So I changed that, which I really enjoyed that on the mountain pass, especially going downhill. It's like, you're in third and like I'm going to drop it in the second I'm going down, which was really nice. Something that I thought was really interesting, no matter how many times I downshifted and the RPMs got really high, like sometimes they'd shoot up in the 5,000s, the temperature on the transmission never changed. So it wasn't like you're downshifting, you can hear the RPMs obviously change and everything, and you would expect the temperature of the oil to change, and it didn't. So it's kind of nice. And you could tell where it was changing was on the uphills, right? So on the uphills, as you're downshifting or upshifting, that you can tell the transmission change, the temperature change drastically. And then also you can tell the difference between like when you're slow crawling in 4 high and 4 low. The temperature change is greater in 4 high than it was in 4 low, which I found interesting as well. It's almost like in 4 low, the transmission is working less. So it was interesting to see that too, and like have like proof of that based on, you know, transmission temps. I should say also that before this trip, I updated the transmission cooler. I installed a Mishimoto with a fan. I didn't film it or do anything because occasionally I really miss just like having music on in the garage and getting shit done. You don't do that anymore when you film, so it kind of sucks. So that was one of the days I'm like, I'm not filming this. I just want to have some fun by myself with some music and like tune out, you know. It was nice having that. I felt like it made enormous differences on the passes. Like I was seeing differences between the pan and the actual. I'm gonna ballpark that it's gonna measure, one's at the pan and the other one's measuring the torque converter, right? So sometimes I'd have differences of like 26, 27 degrees. So I didn't have those differences before without it. So I'm guessing it's doing. I'm gonna assume it's doing a really good job of cooling it down. And I should say that was without me turning on the fan. So I have one where I wired the fan to just a switch. I didn't want to have it on a temperature switch. I wired it to just an on and off, and it did amazing. On the regular roads, like when I'm driving, the temperature stayed the same. So I thought maybe it wasn't doing a great job, but once I noticed those enormous differences, I was like, oh man. So it's worth it when you're out in the mountains and stuff like that to have a better transmission fluid. I wanted to get that out of the way. What else can I say? In terms of weight, I mean, this is heavier. There's no way around it. You know, but I purposely went with RRW because they have a light wheel. So it's not as heavy as, say, like other beadlocks, like race lines, are ridiculously heavy, or black rhinos are really heavy. So not as light as this, but still pretty light. So yeah, that's pretty much what I went through. I feel like I covered everything. I'm just going to start cutting and hammering now. I'm not going to have you guys watch that because it's a pain in the ass. But that's pretty much what I have done. I hope I didn't forget anything. If you have any more questions for me, definitely let me know. A lot of this is subjective, guys. Like anybody could sit here and be like, yeah, you could throw a 37 on there and you'll be fine. But it really depends on what you do. If you spend all of your time on the street, you probably get away with just a CMR and some minor hitting. You might not have to even do anything to the firewall. So just know, if you're going to wheel for real, and you want something larger than a 35, you want a 37 and up, you do require a full tub, or you're going to just go through everything that I'm going through with all of the hitting, the banging, the cutting, and all that shit. So if you want to avoid that, just go ahead and do a full tub right away. Component-wise, many different things that you could do, but you're definitely going to beef things up. So those are just the components that I use that have worked for me. Currently getting ready for DO, so we're going to go wheel at the end of this month. I think we're going to go hit up Dickie Bell and maybe do Daniel as well. So I would like to see what that's like after I hit and push everything back to see if I get less hits. So the plan is to cut everything off, do some more hitting. I'm going to clean it, then paint it, right? So that when I go up there, it's nice and shiny and ready. And that way, whatever gets rubbed off, it'll be fresh paint, so I know. I will have the links to kind of parts and everything that I do down below. And then I'll also put the links to the transmission cooler in case you guys are interested in that. But as usual, you guys, thanks a lot. Thanks for watching. I hope this kind of helped a little bit. If you have any more questions, just drop them down below for me. And don't forget to like and subscribe because it really helps me out a lot. You guys be good. Stay safe out there.